One thing that I want to occasionally, and I'll admit this is very lighthearted, but one thing I want to occasionally do is show all of you, give you insight into what it's like in the right-wing media bubble, because I'm sure many of you don't have to be exposed to that. Kudos. But because for prepping the show, we're looking a lot on what the other side is saying and doing, I end up being exposed to so many just random right-wing accounts on X, for example. And that leads to me observing the strangest phenomena that go on in MAGA social media bubbles, like rooting on Trump for every tiny little random thing that he does, as if it's proof that he's a quote, unquote, giga Chad. Yeah, that's the word that you're going to see someone use for the video that we're about to watch. And then I'll show you a few examples, and then I'll play for you what I wish MAGA would focus on, because this stuff is ridiculous. But again, being Trump with the MAGA media, social media bubble, that was kind of redundant, apologies, but is like having someone following you around all the time. And no matter what you do, you walk across a crosswalk. Oh, you did that so good. I've never seen someone walk across a crosswalk like you walked across the crosswalk when you crossed the street. And getting hyped up for every little thing you do in the cultiest way you could imagine. So this time, at the end of his joint, or the speech to the joint session of Congress, he was greeting people, and Nancy Mace, the despicable Republican congresswoman, went in to say hello. And apparently she was trying to do, by their language, I have no clue what this even means, the claw. If anyone in the comments can explain to me what the claw is, I'd like to know. But apparently she tried to do the claw, and and Trump slapped it down. Here's a MAGA account saying, Trump stopped Nancy Mace from using the claw, Giga Chad. Which translation for some of our viewers means, he a big boy, he a strong boy, he a masculine boy. Okay, so here's the video at issue. Giga Chad. What? What am I supposed to be impressed by? That he grabbed her hand? Okay, and you're thinking, Luke, that was one account. This one has nearly 50,000 likes from an account that has 3 million followers. Incredible. Nancy Mace tries to use the claw on Trump, and he defeated it. Because he's a Giga Chad. He's a thermonuclear Chad. Then another person saying, when Nancy Mace tried pulling the claw, what's the claw? Explain it to me. By the way, as we continue through this more lighthearted segment, this is the second channel. If you want to subscribe to my main channel, please do look in the description box, and then subscribe to this one, because I do extra when I have an extra boost of energy at the end of the day after the main show's done. We do some extra segments here. So please do be subscribed. But let's read this. The claw, move on, President Trump during the speech to Congress. It was quite the scene. He stayed completely focused despite the antics. What a moment. Hashtag America First. Is that what America First means? Again, I'll show the video to you once again. Here's her trying to do the claw. Okay, I guess she was trying to hug him, but the fact that he grabbed her hand is proof that he's super focused on everything. Yeah, except for the name of Biden when he says the Bitcoin administration on accident. At the speech to Congress, Nancy Mace tried to do... Are any of these accounts unique? Why are they all saying the same thing? Try to do the claw on President Trump. Watch what happens. He's super focused on everything. Interesting. The fact that fake MAGA accounts have been exposed as Russian-backed bots, I think makes us all extra sensitive. I'm sure all of these are real accounts, but I'm just saying it's weird when you start seeing these crazy parallels, and it's hard because some have actually been exposed to that. Not to imagine, is this just a bunch of fake accounts? I know that Jack Posobiec, the big account, is not fake, but you then have this guy saying Nancy Mace, the gentlewoman from South Carolina, wanted to use the claw tactics. Trump defeated it instinctually. Now, you know that this is not the only thing that MAGA does this with. They also are very obsessed and they are very flattering about or attracted to the handshakes that Trump engages in, like with Macron. And you'll remember this 25-second handshake or 30-second handshake is supposed to be proof of how dominant Donald Trump is. And Macron is his little you-know-what. And even when someone else comes up to greet him, which is the wife of Macron, Trump doesn't let go of Macron's hand. Again, you're thinking, Luke, we've seen this video. Why are you showing it to me? Again, it is so dang long. The reason is because to understand the texture, the character, the manner of the social media space that you're not in, you gotta examine the little things like this. So that was back in Trump's first term. The second time Macron came, you have accounts like Jack saying, an X-ray image has been released of French President Macron's hand following handshake with President Trump. And it's supposed to be a broken up handshake, even though Trump was the only one who walked away with that with big bruises, but that seemed unrelated. Then you have someone saying Macron taps out at the 6-second mark. Trump makes him suffer another 2 seconds. Trump is the GOAT. Or sorry, let me say that more verbatim. Trump is the GOAT. Okay. Then you have a MAGA account saying Macron greets the king of the world. Gold tie Trump. Yep, he's referring to him as the king of the world. And you might remember that Fox News analyzed this handshake like they were watching, I can't even think, analyzing the painting of a fine painter.
First European leader to come to the Trump White House, and we'll look for that handshake. There it is. Saw President Trump firmly grip the hand of Emmanuel Macron there.
So firm. Okay. So you had that. You had another MAGA account saying President Trump just made Macron his bitch with one handshake. Okay. President Trump manhandles French President Emmanuel Macron with one of the most dominating handshakes I've ever seen. We are so back. I judge if America is quote unquote back by the well-being of its citizens, by the efficacy of the governance, of the strength of the economy, maybe even the strength of the military, of the patriotism of the electorate, but true substantive patriotism, not just symbolic patriotism like what MAGA exhibits. The dedication to the common good of the society. I would say that those metrics would add up to being America being back if it were. But they say because Trump gives a solid handshake. Okay. I don't know. Emmanuel Macron might need a chiropractor after that handshake. Oh. There's more, but you get the point. One other just little random thing since we're on the topic of this. The leg touching really sparked interest of MAGA. Just a lot of leg touching, Macron did that. So then later Trump needed to get his own leg touch. So then they just start holding hands, as world leaders do. But I'm sure that was also a sign of great dominance on Trump's part. So I said that there's something more important. This is how you might, how do I say? You're not in a cult if you speak like that about somebody, but you definitely should check. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not definitely in a cult, but you should ask some friends if you are, right? If you find yourself salivating over the strength of the handshake of your political leader, maybe just treat him like a political leader instead of a quote unquote king of the world, as that one account called it. But I wish they would focus less on that and more on how Macron is having to fill the void in many ways that Trump is leaving by allowing for a U.S. collapse of global leadership amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine, leading to Macron having to deliver a frightening but pressing speech about Russia.
Now, in a televised address Wednesday evening, French President Emmanuel Macron delivered a stark message to his nation. Macron warned that Russian aggression knows no borders and could extend beyond Ukraine. He also said he would consider extending French nuclear deterrence to other European countries. And that's a statement Russia condemned as, quote, very confrontational. Macron also acknowledged that the French people's worries are legitimate and said Europe must prepare for a potential future without U.S. support.
Russia has become a threat to France and Europe. I want to believe that the U.S. will stand by us, but we have to be ready if this is not the case. Whether or not peace in Ukraine is achieved quickly, Europe must be able to defend itself better and deter any further aggression.
And the Kremlin is reacting strongly to Macron's speech by saying the French...
Yeah, so then it goes on to explain, we might look at this in more depth later on, again, probably over on the main channel, if you're watching on the second channel. And the Kremlin upset, but they have no reason to be, given that their aggression is the thing causing all the instability and public statements like that. So the Nancy Mace Trump story is less about a claw and a Trump-focused Chad move, and more about how Mace is one of the most dishonest figures who was opposed to Trump, like Lindsey Graham and these others, who had portrayed herself to be more moderate and then swung in the MAGA direction as she felt the winds blowing that way. And the story with Trump in that exchange is that he will accept people no matter how two-faced they are, as long as they're kissing his rear end at that present moment, which is not the sign of someone who wants high character principle people around him, but instead just the most advantageous scenario in the short term. The story with Macron and Trump is not about the handshake, but how Macron is having to fill the void left by a U.S. president who's abandoning his dedication to being the leader of the free world amid this attack, assault, and illegal invasion against a European nation. And if they could only shift the lens there and get focused more on the important things, so many beautiful things could happen. Share your thoughts in the comments.